Huawei sub-branded company Honor have just released their second major flagship of 2018, the Honor Note 10. Unlike its popular smaller brother known simply as the Honor 10, the Note 10 ditches the notch and embraces a gigantic 6.95-inch AMOLED display. Though the phone does have bezels, they are very slim and take a similar approach to the likes of Samsung's Galaxy Note series, which costs almost triple the price. This phone starts with a base 6GB RAM, 64GB ROM model, which will set you back around $410 if directly converted from its Chinese yuan price tag of 2,799 RMB. The only reason one would want the higher tier variant would be for the extra bit of RAM, since the storage is expandable, but beware that the memory card will be occupying SIM slot 2. Let's be honest, 6GB of RAM in a smartphone is already plenty enough, but if you have the extra cash to spend and your heart is set on this device, you would only have to cough up $530 USD for the 8GB 128GB version. Apart from the storage and memory, these three models are all the same. Let's set the bad stuff aside first. There is no 3.5mm headphone jack, no IP certification, and no wireless charging. But that's about it. For $400, you can get your hands on that massive display I mentioned earlier, which packs Full HD Plus resolution with no visible pixelation whatsoever, HDR10, and the ever so favored always on display, which is jammed into a small enough elegant glass build sandwiching an aluminium frame. Unlocking the phone can be done by using the physical fingerprint sensor at the back of the phone, and though it is pretty high up on this massive device, you get used to its placement fairly quickly. You can also unlock the device by using Face Unlock, just like many other flagship devices have adopted this year. This is no 3D Face Unlock like on the iPhone X, so it cannot be used for proper security needs, but works nice and snappy. Performance takes no backseat either. You get a flagship Kirin 970 chipset with a dedicated GPU turbo button placed on the bottom right side of the frame, which in my experience improves an already powerful chip slightly to say the least, as it is more noticeable in gaming sessions than anywhere else. However, I did notice that the feature can only be enabled using the dedicated button in a game that Honor feels may benefit from the boost, such as PUBG. The good thing is that you decide when to disable the function. It does not disable automatically even if you close the game, which is a workaround to having the function on as often as possible, or to test out a benchmark such as I did with Antutu. The scores are not that different, and that is because of the way that the GPU turbo actually works. It boosts frames per second in graphic intensive games, not by stress overclocking the cores individually, but rather by prioritizing the game being played by focusing all of the hardware on it without supplying juice to anything else in the background. So how does Honor keep things cool with this high performing beast when playing a demanding game? Well, they decided to throw in a liquid cooling system labeled 9. Honor dedicated the name to this due to its 9-layer heat dissipation. The 9th outermost layer is said to be a PC-grade liquid cooling pipe. Honor claims this should reduce the CPU temperatures of up to 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but after some tests, this does not seem to be the case when benchmarking. Are you reaching that moment where nothing more could surprise you about this phone? Well, hold on to your seat, as the USB 3.1 Type-C port doubles up as an HDMI outlet for a desktop-like experience, much like Samsung's DeX, but without the need for an expensive accessory, and it works surprisingly well. You can also hook up a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to the device should you need to use it as a phone and desktop PC at the same time. Wow factor hit you yet? If not, look at these huge stereo speaker grills, which include Dolby Atmos technology for a truly immersive experience worthy of lengthy gaming sessions and blockbuster movies. Which opt for a loud, full and rich sound. Though the speakers are loud enough for most tasks, I feel they could have been cranked up a notch when it comes to listening to music. They are still far superior to any other smartphone out there for music sessions with your friends. But this is no boombox. The Android experience on Huawei's EMUI software is far from the best, but its 8.2 version, which debuted with this device, cleans things up more than ever and includes some useful features. However, some of EMUI's pointers features are still around for reasons unknown. There is an option for an app drawer and plenty ways to customize your phone without the need for a third-party launcher. However, there are no full-screen navigation gestures as seen on the latest from Apple, OnePlus, Oppo and Vivo. Instead, there is the option for single-key navigation, which works the same as Huawei's indented button found under their flagship P-series displays. This is fun, but only for about a minute. Without the presence of the physical button, it just feels strange and pointless, so I opted for the standard 3-key navigation method, which has its own problems when using the keyboard and forgetting to hide it. But should your heart desire full-screen gestures, there are third-party apps that do so without the need to root your phone. The camera UI is neatly stacked with loads of options, including every feature you could possibly think of in any smartphone camera software out there. Its back lens setup looks elegant with its separate lens brackets and embraces the same partnership as Huawei's flagship devices. There is one RGB lens and one monochrome lens, which work together to improve the overall detail of an image. The color sensor is 16 megapixels and the black and white sensor is 24 megapixels. Both lenses have the same aperture of f1.8 and neither make use of optical or electronic image stabilization, which may be a deal breaker for some, but its AI image stabilization works better than it did when implemented in Huawei's phones earlier this year, and seems to handle my shaky hands quite well. These dual lenses produce some detailed, colorful imagery during the day, even if it is not a perfect sunny day with blue skies and candy floss clouds. However, it does seem to over-sharpen some things if used in auto mode. This is no low-light king such as the S9 Plus, but it does seem to grab some good detail and color. The Note 10 cannot see in the dark, such as the P20 Pro can in super low light scenarios. However, there is a night mode that works brilliantly, but takes a solid 5 seconds in order to work. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the way these back lenses take pictures. They definitely produce some flagship-worthy snaps. Video recording includes the standard 4K at 30 fps, 1080p at 60 fps, 1080p slow motion at 120 fps, and time-lapse, though the latter is limited to just 720p. Though the video recording does its job and looks alright, it cannot hold its own when compared to other phones at this price point, such as the OnePlus 6T. My advice, do not buy this phone if you want it for video recording alone. However, if you take the occasional video now and then, you will not be disappointed with the results unless comparing it directly to any other flagship. Portrait mode works as it should, with dual lenses on the back, but it does not work as good on its software-based 13 megapixel Selfie Cam. The Selfie Cam has an f2.0 aperture and takes some crisp pictures. Just know that the Selfie Cam recording is limited to 1080p at 30 fps, which may break the heart of some on-the-go vloggers, but this is pretty standard on most phones, even the best of the best. The GPU turbo button also doubles up as a camera shutter button, which is a nice cherry on top. NFC is also part of the equation, which is always a handy feature, and even though we are limited to Bluetooth 4.2 instead of Bluetooth 5, the average smartphone user will probably not notice a difference at all. At the moment, the phone's LTE connectivity is compatible with most bands outside of the US. After all, this is a Chinese variant. The global variant is set to be announced month end, so keep your eyes and ears open for that one. The battery weighs in at an impressive 5000 mAh, the biggest battery I have ever personally encountered on any smartphone. After 1 week of usage, I can't seem to get the battery to lower than 40% throughout a 15-hour day with moderate to high usage. It is really unbelievable. Like I mentioned at the start, there is no wireless charging, but there is a Huawei supercharger included in the box, which will charge your phone from 0 to 100 in an hour and 40 minutes, should you need full juice. Unfortunately, there is no headphone jack, but the included adapter works just as it should, and the output to wired earphones is impressively loud. I could blow my own eardrums out if I tried. The lack of waterproofing is a bit of a bummer, but it seems petty when looking at everything that is included at this price point. The Honor Note 10 is not for videographers, scuba divers, or small handers, but if you want absolutely everything in a phone and are willing to overlook 1 or 2 minor flaws, then there is no better phone on the market right now for this price. And that is why I am happy to give this monster of a phone a score of 95 out of 100, though 10 of those points are purely based on its price. Until next time guys, this is TechNick.